Welcome to another episode of Talking Business. Today we have Carrie King, the owner of Next Home Kingdom, Nicole Kabsevich, and myself, Matt, president of the chamber. We're going to talk business.
Thank you for having me.
Super cool. I have to say to all of the viewers, Carrie is wearing her logo on a sweater. Her logo is
It's a French bulldog.
French bulldog.
His name is Luke. There's a big story, but I won't go into it. But I will tell you that it's our franchise mascot, so it's national. When I joined the franchise of Next Home, the animal came with it, the dog.
See.
Yes,
So did you just
the
happen
French
to
bulldog.
find this random sweater, or could you order it?
I did find the random sweater. You know what's really crazy is that, and I'm sure I'm just such a sucker for it on Facebook, but I see all these the algorithms, they get me. So it sees that I'm starting to look at French bulldog things, and then all of a sudden all these shirts and sweaters start popping up with French bulldogs on there, and I think, oh, wouldn't that be cute? And then I buy it, and then it's on.
Perfect.
I get stuff all the time.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So Carrie is unique because she not only is a real estate agent, but she's a broker and runs a brokerage, right?
That's right.
So how about you start with kind of giving us the breakdown of what that exactly looks like and what it is?
Okay. A real estate brokerage. So let me try to simplify this down. So I was a licensed real estate salesperson underneath a broker for a large franchise in the area. And that I was for 15 years. And then toward the end of that 15 years as being a licensed real estate agent or real estate salesperson, I decided to take my education further because you can become another layer of a salesperson. So in New York State, there's two different types of realtor. It would be a licensed real estate salesperson and broker/associate broker. Okay. It's the same test. It's the same amount of education for a broker. But if you want to own a brokerage, you can actually become a broker with the amount of education. So let me break it down for you. I'm a licensed real estate salesperson, and I'm working under, let's say, you, and you're my broker. Now, I can get more education, and I can become an associate broker, meaning I'm working under you as an associate broker, and I have more education than a licensed real estate salesperson. But I'm not the broker. You're the broker. But if something were to happen and you decided that you wanted to step down and you didn't want to be a broker, I could become a broker. I could become, let's say, your broker. You decided you wanted to step down. You wanted somebody else to come in. I could then take that spot as a broker. I could leave the brokerage and start my own brokerage because I have that level of education.
Okay.
It's just a different way that you have to hang your license with the state. So I would have to apply and then put my brokerage underneath underneath myself, actually, in the state.
So what's the incentive to keep moving through the real estate ladder?
Great question. So for 14 years, I was a licensed real estate salesperson. I saw value in being educated, but I was so busy taking care of clients that I really didn't make time, which I know is a horrible answer, but I really didn't make time for myself to become more educated because I had the experience and I had the self-drive to be able to do it without being more educated.
Right.
So when I decided I was going to open up my own brokerage, that's when I decided that, I didn't decide. I needed to continue my education so that I could become an associate broker and have my own brokerage.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Is there any other incentives?
For the education standpoint, yes. There are agents that started as licensed salespersons, and they are associate brokers, and they found value with their clients, being able to tell their clients and the public, look, I have more education than a standard licensed real estate salesperson. So it's like being getting your bachelor's versus your master's.
A little bit more credibility.
Right. Right. I guess
Maybe.
that's a great way of saying it, is that, but a lot of the general public doesn't really know the difference.
I was going to say,
A lot of the general public really doesn't. It all comes down to the agent really explaining their value, which I tell my agents all the time, you want to always articulate your value to your clients. You do want to do that as an agent, but I feel like I always felt as a licensed real estate salesperson, why did I need it if I had the experience and I had the self-drive and I had the knowledge otherwise? Why did I need that piece of paper? But if you look at it like that, why do you need the piece of paper to have a master's versus a bachelor's? Why do you decide to get a master's degree?
Is there a more money as you move through the ladder?
Yes, but I'm going to go back to articulating your value, because is there more money? Yes, but you have to ask for it.
So as you go from real estate to broker to having your own brokerage, right? Or
Right.
even assistant broker, right?
You start as a licensed real estate salesperson. You can get your associate broker and then become a broker. But I actually, in a way, I sort of skipped the associate broker step. I was an associate broker for only a couple of months. I decided that I was going to open up my own brokerage, and then right away I started taking classes and I got my.
And so with that extra education, that's how you increase your percentage of commission. Is that correct?
That's a great way to think of it, but actually, no.
Okay.
So interestingly enough, you're not supposed to put, as far as the Department of State and even nationally, you're really not supposed to put a number on what you get as an agent. You can personally. So for an example, there are brokers that I know of that they sell a house and to list a house, they only charge 2%. There's some that charge 2.5%. There's some that charge 3%. Now, it's been a little over a year. It was August 17th, I believe, 2024, that the federal government there was a big lawsuit that happened, and I don't know if you have heard of it, but basically what it boiled down to was they decoupled the listing agent brokerage compensation and the buying agent brokerage compensation, because they said that it was misleading to the public to have the seller paying for the buyer's agent compensation, and they wanted the buyer to pay for the compensation of their own agent and the seller to pay for the compensation of their own agent. So that happened. So now it is totally decoupled. So when I go to a listing appointment, I'll say, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, hi, thank you for having me. These are all the services that I provide. This is everything that you're going to get with my company, my franchise, with me, my experience, all these things. And I charge X for this. And they can try to negotiate with me. They can say, well, how about this? Okay, well, I'm going to be taking professional pictures and I'm going to be doing these things. So sometimes I'll break it down where they'll pay for the pictures themselves. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but usually you can, if you're able to articulate your value, you should be worth more than someone with less education and less experience. But it's up to the individual agent. My agents sit down with all of our buyers now since the lawsuit happened, and we have a buyer-broker agreement that we sit down and talk to the buyers. And I encourage all my agents, I have 11 of them, I tell them, meet your client in the office, sit down with them, tell them that what you're going to do for them and articulate your value, and then explain to them about what you charge as a fee. And I guarantee you that when you sit down and explain all the things that you're going to do and you articulate your value, that they're not going to have a problem paying what you're asking for. But you have to actually have that conversation. And that's the whole reason why the lawsuit really happened, is because nobody was having that conversation.
Right.
Agents were looking online and they were saying, okay, great, Carrie King has a listing and they're going to pay me X amount and, her brokerage, and I'm going to show this house because Carrie's going to pay me this much money. So they've never had to ask for that amount of compensation from their client because they were always getting it from the seller.
Gotcha.
And the federal government, the Department of Justice, and they all said, whoa, no, we don't want it like that. Now, how it happens now is we sign an agreement with our clients. We go look at houses. And then if they find one that they like, I say, okay, well, we have an agreement for X. So what I'm going to do, Mr. and Mrs. Brown buyer, is I'm going to say, okay, we have a contract. I'm going to fill out the offer agreement. And on that offer agreement, I'm going to say, I'm asking for this amount to come from the seller. So I ask for the amount of money that I'm getting in my buyer broker agreement from the seller.
Gotcha.
And most of them understand that a buyer has their own costs. And you're going to know this more than probably the regular normal public, is that there are a lot of costs associated with buying a house.
Right.
And the buyer already has, technically, if they go through a bank, it's usually around 6% just to buy the house. That's not the amount of money that you need down. That's the amount just to buy it.
Right.
And people are floored by that. But if you take that amount and then you add another whatever percent that they have to pay their agent on top of it, and then they have what they have to pay down, they can't afford it. So sellers in our area, a lot of sellers understand this, and they also understand that a lot of times in the past, it's been built into the price, which is the reason why you had people that were for sale by owner and people that were listing with an agent. And you would contact someone that was for sale by owner, and they would say, oh, I'll give you this price because the agents aren't involved. Okay, well, that's fine. So now your house is on the market, and you're getting a premium price, and even the market price, really, for your house. The market price has the buyer's agent and the seller's agent compensation baked into that price, and it's always been like that. So once sellers understand that that's the way it's always been, they're more live. They're more
apt to
understand.
Like, I feel
Yes.
like details are so important, right?
Right.
It's the transparency. That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. That's what the whole lawsuit was about transparency.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of places. You know, how appreciative would you and I be if we went into medical practices to see the list of, hey, you need an x-ray today, this is how much it costs.
Right.
You're going to have physical therapy, this is how much it costs, right?
Right.
That transparency that we really don't see on the norm unless we're
No.
at McDonald's, right?
Right. Right. And what they're really trying to stop, and I applaud their effort in trying to stop it. It's not going to completely stop it, but what they're trying to stop is they're trying to stop agents from choosing a property and pushing their clients towards a property that they're getting a higher rate of pay on.
Yeah.
Because that did happen. I mean, I would never threaten anybody, but I felt like sometimes I was beating my agents on the head with a virtual hammer, saying, don't ever look, because on our MLS, which is our central system where everybody entered in listings, there was a spot where it was an agents only section. And in that section was the amount of compensation that the listing agent had in there that the buyer's agent was going to get. So now you have this information, your buyers don't. So all of a sudden you're looking at 5 listings and all 5 have different amounts of compensation, and it can cause dishonesty.
Right.
Or greediness, I guess you would
Yeah.
say, where an agent might say, oh, geez, wow, this listing I'm going to get 4% on. I'm going to try to get them to buy this one because I'm going to have how much more money. So that's the reason why the lawsuit was trying to prevent that, because we can't put those amounts in our listings anymore.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for breaking that down, because, you know, the average person doesn't know that
It's really
or understand that. So
Right,
we appreciate,
right.
you know, giving that to the listeners. So you're a brokerage.
yes.
How cool, right? Is that the top of
Right.
the top, the cream of the cream? Like,
Right. Well, yes. I would say that is I've always worked under a franchise. I knew when I started off on my own that I didn't just want to be me, Carrie King, LLC brokerage. I wanted to be under a franchise. It took me a while to figure out what one I was going to choose. I ended up choosing Next Home because they have 600 brokerages nationwide. They're a relatively new company. They started in 2016, and they're very tech savvy. They originate in Pleasanton, California, which is right outside of Silicon Valley. So I'm always looking for like the latest and greatest. They had the best tools, the best, some people won't know what this is, but it's called a CRM system where you can.
I do.
Okay,
I'm looking for a new
fantastic.
one.
Woo! Okay, Bull Trail. It's awesome. So they have all kinds of different systems and tools in place that are what I would call the heavy hitter, best of the best technology that if I were Carrie King LLC, it would cost me thousands and thousands and thousands on my own to get all these individual tools. Like an e-sign program is very important to me, obviously, because in this day and age, you're not going to Mrs. Jones' house anymore to have her sign documents. People are busy. They're all over the place. It's, I explain things to people and then I say, do you want to meet face to face or would you like to sign online? And most times they say they want to sign online.
Yeah.
So an e-sign program is very important to me, one that works correctly and one that's secure. That's also very important. And those types of programs are very expensive. So that's one of the reasons why I chose Next Home. The other reason was because right away, first it popped up. This dog popped up, the French Bulldog, but it also popped up with this hashtag humans over houses. And I just thought that was the coolest mantra ever in real estate because I've always run my business like that. I wanted myself and all of my agents, because I could have chose to go to any brokerage. I was a top producer for the brokerage that I was at, and I wasn't really happy, but I thought, all right, let me look around a little bit and see what's out there. But no other brokerage really had that mantra. It was all about the sale. It was all about the money. It was all about, and I just found that most times when an agent makes it about the money and they don't make it about the heart, they don't last very long in this business because people are smart. You wouldn't think that people are as smart and intuitive, but they know when you're trying to sell them something. They know. They can sniff you out. And if you have a heart and you really authentically want them to change their life, because a house is a life. It's not just a roof.
Right.
It's something that's different than buying a t-shirt or t-shirt is, clothing, food, clothing, shelter, but a shelter is where you live. Like it's your whole lifestyle. So I think people see through it really quick.
So Next Home really honed in on relationship.
Right. They were relationship over a sale.
Yeah.
Humans over houses. And I just thought that was such a great, because that's the way I always felt in my heart about real estate. And I would get so disappointed in others when they weren't like that, or even brokerages that were really related. Everything was about the sale.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the client. So that's my agents. I handpick them. Some of them I trained from baby agents. Some of them I did not. But I can tell you that every agent in my company, that's a deal breaker for me. If I sit down with you and you tell me, I ask you why you want to join the company and why you're a real estate agent, if your answer is money, keep walking. I am very picky about who I take at my company because I don't want a bunch of agents running around being snake oil salesmen.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you, what is that process? if all of your agents are 1099s, do you do an interviewing process, right?
Do.
Because you still have some say whether you want them under your roof, right?
I have all the say.
Yeah.
And actually, my husband, who is co-owner, he is not licensed, but he will sometimes sit in with me on an interview for somebody and he'll ask some questions because integrity is very, very important to us.
Yes. And so that's another perk of having the brokerage, right? You now get to bring on, whereas a regular
That's right.
licensed real estate, you don't get to do that. You're for your own and that's that, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So that's another incentive for the brokerage to move up the ladder. Okay.
It's another incentive.
Okay, so back to that interviewing process, as you already touched on, what's really important to you. And so how often are you bringing on a new agent?
Not often. Not often. And it's because I really take a personal interest because I want a bunch of mini-me's running around. I want people to have integrity. I want them to know not everything, but most things. And I'm just so selective with... Like, for example, I have an agent. She's been with me over a year. She was kind of young. I was a little bit nervous about her because she's 23. So a lot of 23-year-olds do not own their own house. And that is a little nerve-wracking when you have somebody selling something and they've never had that experience. They're on their own. It's like having a car salesman and they're 12 years old and they've never driven a car. I mean, how do they know?
Right.
So I was a little nervous, but what I did was I kept her with me. She was with me every day. And I closed 30 deals last year, and she was like my transaction coordinator. So she knew the whole process from the beginning to the end. And she was with me on 20 deals last year. So most agents in our area don't sell more than 7 houses. They have a saying in real estate where 20% of the agents do 80% of the business. It's 100% true in our area. So she's done more business. She's done the equivalent of a 5-year agent probably already. But I had her in the office with me every day for over a year. So I have not had a new agent in over a year because I take such a personal interest and I'm such a producing broker that I just don't have the time to train one-on-one. And if I'm going to have you at my company, you better, I run a tight ship. Let's just say that. This is a G-rated podcast.
I could put the explicit button in there.
You better know it.
Yeah.
Because I really don't want a phone call from another broker saying, did you hear what your agent did? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, not having that.
Reputation.
It's everything. And I just heard the other day, which makes me so happy to hear it. I was like thrilled. I actually think I shed a couple tears on the way home because one of our agents told me that 2 different brokerages in our area, 2 different brokers. So the head honcho of 2 different companies said to them separately, with no unsolicited advice, said, Carrie runs her company very well. She runs a very tight ship, and I know that if my agents start a deal with one of the agents in your company, it's going to close. That means a lot.
Yeah.
Because you can have multiple deals start up. It doesn't mean you're going to close them. You have to really be a hustler. You have to really think outside the box. You have to have connections. You have to understand what the process is, the psychology of the process. People are nervous. They're, their nerves take over sometimes. Sometimes there's inspection issues you got to get through. Sometimes it's attorneys and people aren't playing nice together. And you actually have to get in the middle of attorneys and say, okay, let's take it down a notch here. We're all trying to get to a closing. I mean, these are things that happen that people just think it's so easy. It's not easy.
All the stuff in the middle, right?
All the stuff in the middle. Just because you get it under contract does not mean it's going to close.
Yeah, there's so many personalities. It's like
there's so many egos.
Yeah,
there's so many egos. There's nothing worse, and I hope that I don't have any attorney friends listening to this right now, but there's nothing worse than 2 attorneys that are butting heads, and sometimes it becomes about the principle of the matter. I get it. Because sometimes I can get like that. I've got to check myself. But there are attorneys sometimes that they just they can't get around it. And the deal just goes south. Yeah.
I've experienced with people there's, sentimental value in a home or why should I give them a concession? And it's like, well, it's a concern for the buyer, right? And we understand, but coming to that fair deal, getting the seller to understand what the concerns of the buyer are, and then but then meeting on a level field.
Right.
That's hard.
It is really hard,
especially when people are emotional over
it is
the home
really
that
hard.
They're selling.
Right, and that's why I tell people that is why you have me. I'm supposed to be the buffer. So let me be the buffer. Right. Let me be the buffer because
let me translate your frustration
please,
into professionally written message.
Right. I have a couple of agents, one in particular, he cracks me right up and he says, Carrie, you have this way of talking where someone could say something that's totally off the chart and you say, well, I think blah, 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 blah. And it's just level-headed and logical and you can put a spin on it where it isn't offensive or abrasive.
Get your point across with some finesse.
Right. Yes. And I do think that's a gift. I want to say that I got it from my father.
Controlling that tone, you mean? That saying you can be wrong in how you say it, right in what you say, but wrong in how you say it.
That's
I always find that whenever I'm going to give feedback to what someone says is I always acknowledge what I agree with what they say, but then say, but... I don't necessarily, can you explain that?
Right. It's all in the delivery. I tell my agents all the time, it's all in the delivery. You have to really just be careful because you don't want to walk into somebody's house. This is a cardinal mistake that I have my first 15 years when I was at this big company and I was working with a lot of agents. An agent would say to me, I didn't get the listing. I was like, oh, it's really a shame. Why not? Because I'm thinking, why wouldn't you? I mean, we're a franchise. We have all the tools. We do all the things. I mean, why would you not get the listing? And then the agent says, wow, I walked in. I just told him right away, you've got to change the carpet and these walls are awful. And I said, okay, then it started dawning on me. The reason why these agents are not getting these listings isn't because they're not qualified. It's not because they're not educated. It's not because they don't have the best tools. It's because their delivery sucks.
Yeah.
100% sucks. You don't walk into a house that somebody's lived in for 30 years and tell them that their carpet's disgusting and they need to change it.
The first
You just don't.
Yeah, the first step in relationship progression is they got to like you.
Right.
And then they
Right.
got to trust you.
Yes.
And they got to trust you enough to do business with you.
Amen. Amen. So
you
I
gotta
would
check
never.
that first box first.
Right. And, there's several different theories about how you should, or instruction about how you should get a listing. If you haven't met someone before, it's your first time meeting them, first time being at the house, how do you get the listing? And what does that process look like? So when I get to someone's house and I'm going to be listing a house, I introduce myself, they introduce themselves, and they say, well, what do you want to do? Okay. So instead of sitting down at the table and just talking to them about my company, the things I offer, I say, let's pretend that we're on a home HGTV show, and I'm going to walk behind you with my little notepad, and I just want you to tell me everything that you love about your house and the things that you've done to it. And just take me room to room. Tell me what the room is. Tell me the updates that you've done. Tell me why you love your house. And they look at me and they're like, really? Yes, because if I'm going to be selling your house, I better sure as hell know why you like it. You know? I mean, I don't live here.
Right.
I would like you to tell me why you like your house. You know, and now there are the people that say, I hate this house. It's horrible. It's always been horrible. You know, so that backfires a little bit, but that's rare. Most of the time, people will tell you everything that they like about the house. And that helps me with my marketing, and it helps me get the listing. People say, oh my gosh, I met with so-and-so, and she told me how horrible everything was, and I had to change it. And I say, look, you don't need to change. Your house is awesome, but there's a difference between living in it and selling it. If you're selling a car, you're not going to take your car that you ate McDonald's French fries in, with French fries all over the seat and on the floorboards, and grease all over the steering wheel, and park it out at the road and put a for sale sign in it. What are you going to do with it? You're going to get it detailed. That's what I'm telling you that you need to do with your house. Detail your house. We're selling it. You're living in it, but you're selling it. So the living in it takes a backseat.
Yeah, and I think some of your agents that struggle or have struggled with getting listings, it's like when you go into that first appointment, you got to be a listener in that first appointment. It's not about, you shouldn't be doing any talking, really.
Right.
You should be
Right.
asking questions.
You know, there's a lot of times where I'll get done with the appointment. Oh, you know, everything goes well. Oh, we're going to use you. We're going to call you in a couple weeks. We're going to work on the list that you've told us, or, you know, I'll come up with a value. I usually call people the next day after I'm at their house because I need time. I need to look at their house and actually be in that space. Then I pull some comparable properties, and then the next day I'll call them and say, hey, I brought up a report for you. It had some comparables. This is what I'm thinking market value should be. We should be like in this range. And people say, oh, okay, cool. Instead of me kind of, I would say, for lack of a better term, forcing myself on them and making them sign something at that first appointment. I don't. I'm there to listen. That's what I'm there to do. I just want to know about them, their situation, and their house, and get them a value. A lot of times people say, okay, yeah, that sounds great. So when can we get started? Okay, this is when we're going to get started. I'm going to schedule pictures. Okay, great. Then the next day they call me and they say, I never asked you how much you charge. They don't even ask. They just want someone that's going to love their house like they love their house. You know, the money is like secondary. I mean, they know that I'm going to get them as much as possible for their house, and it's not totally secondary. I mean, I'm not out there charging 10% to people, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, that people just are happy that somebody's taken an interest and is going to try to get them as much as possible for their house.
Well, I think your approach too just shows them that you care. And honestly, people don't care what you know until they know that you care about them.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, so way to go, Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's really the same thing with me interviewing people is, you know, I have agents that call me and they say, I've decided I'm coming to your company. Okay, well, when would you like to sit down and talk? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't just announce that you're coming. You know, I want to talk to you. I want to see if you're going to be a good fit for the office. Like, you should care about that. And, you know, I mean, I say to the agent, look, let's slow down a minute. let me talk to you. And then, and then I actually ask my agents, I say, what do you think about this person? Because I just want to make sure that if I'm going to bring somebody in, that everybody's going to get along. They are independent contractors and they're not in the office often. But I don't want to create an environment where people are locking their stuff up all the time because they're afraid that somebody's going to take their leads or their information. Because I've worked at companies like that. And that's stressful. You're working somewhere and you have all these leads out and you've got to pick up everything, or you're worried when somebody walks by. It's like when you're a kid and you're taking a test and you have to put your arm over your paper. You know what I mean? You're like, don't steal my client.
Yeah, you want
It's
people
awful.
to have integrity,
Right.
respect, boundaries.
Right. And that's what our agents say to each other all the time, or they say it to me. Thank God we're at an office that everybody cares about each other and we're like a family, and we're not out to steal each other's people. Where it's a team effort, even though they're all independent contractors.
Why do you think it's an assumption that people just can go and work for any brokerage?
Well, I'm not. I want to make sure that I'm saying this correctly. So when I was an agent, my largest year that I had, a broker takes they call it a split. They take a cut of what you're getting, right? That's because they have overhead and they have expenses. So the year that I left the company that I was at, I calculated out what the brokerage actually got as a split from me. What I got, what they got. I gave them $90,000. So when you look at that number and you're not a broker and you're looking at that number and you're like, man, I gave them $90,000. They better do whatever I tell them that they're going to do. If I want this, this, and this, or if I want a vacation on them, or if I want, I better get it. So that's the mentality. It's I'm going to work under you, but I'm going to make you money.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's why they say, oh, well, I'm just going to come work for you. Okay, well, and I know that there's there's brokers that don't do any kind of interviews. When people come in, they say, oh, okay, sure, come on over. I have a small enough brokerage and I run things so much on my own that it's more of a headache to me to take on somebody that is toxic, because then I am constantly, because Department of State, I have to monitor everything. I have to monitor social media. I have to make sure that we're meeting our advertising guidelines. I mean, it is so big, the amount of things. I'm like the cat in the hat on the beach ball. And they keep changing the ball. I have the cup and all the things, and I'm balancing everything. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to give you a tennis ball. Let's take away that beach ball. Let's give you a tennis ball. Okay, we'll give you a tennis ball okay, now you can have a softball. Okay, now you have a beach ball again. But the Department of State and the regulations change, and they change, and they change, and they change. So with this always changing, and I'm balancing everything, plus my own clients, plus closing 30 deals a year. I mean, it's unreal. The amount of work that just running it, I'll have nothing left for the day, and I'll be leaving, and it'll be 4:30. I'm like, wow, I'm leaving. It's 4:30. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to do all the things. And then one of my agents calls, and she's like, oh, I have this horrible problem. Can I talk to you? So you have 11 people that you're responsible for and helping them with their deals, giving them advice, giving them resources. Sometimes you're visiting places that they're at. Like, for example, I had a pipes frozen on one of my deals, on one of my agent's deals. And she called me and she's in a panic. Oh my gosh, there's water going everywhere. What do I do? So these are emergencies that my clients are taking care of, but their clients still need to be taken care of. And because they're under me, I better get over there and do it. It's not a choice. It's like, I have to do it. I'll call my husband and say, I'm on the way home. And then I'll call him back in 15 minutes and say, I'm not on the way home. I don't know when I'm going to be home. Keep the dinner hot, honey.
Awesome.
That's funny.
So you mentioned a CRM as one of the great systems that you appreciate. Yes. If you could recognize another system that really helps your business grow, what is it?
I love, it's not everybody is going to know what this is. I actually probably only real estate agents will know what this is, but it's a product called Real Scout. And it's so cool. It actually has this capability now with AI where if you put in like some sort of filter, I'll give you an example. So over the years, I've had, especially gentlemen, will tell me, I want a house so private that I can stand off my back porch and go to the bathroom. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that statement. It's shocking how many times I've heard that statement. So I can't put that in a filter for a house. I mean, and really the word private now violates fair housing. So you can't put private in a listing as far as your comments goes, because sometimes it might be private, but then you cut down a tree and it's not private anymore. So therefore can't be considered permanently private. So that there violates regulations. So with this product, Real Scout, there's a capability of a person putting in their own filters that narrow it down. It might not narrow it down to that specific request that I just mentioned, but it could narrow it down a lot more than a regular search, like say through Zillow. And for me, that's adding value for my clients. And it's adding value for me because let's face it, time is money. I mean, I don't want to have to take a client out to 20 houses before they decide what they want. And you know what? In this market, it's hard to find 20 houses to go see. And I find that my clients, they get frustrated. If I'm just arbitrarily just taking them to things, just to take them to things, they get frustrated. And when I first started, I had clients that would just give up. Like, oh, I'm never going to find what I want. So you want to make sure that it's efficient for you and for your client, because it's your gas and your time, but it's your client's gas and time too. And I do feel like Real Scout as a product really saves a lot of time. And you do get auto listings. I put some filters in, and then they can do some stuff on their own and work with some filters, and they can talk to me right within that platform, which is really super helpful for me, because a lot of times as a new homeowner or a new home buyer, they don't know what they want. They know what they don't want. So it helps when I tell people, I'm going to send you emails of listings. You email me back and tell me if you like it, but email me back and tell me if you don't like it. And then if you email me that you don't like it, tell me why you don't like it. And that helps me narrow down the field a little bit more for you and make things more efficient. My goal, and when I meet a brand new buyer, I tell them my goal is to show you 10 houses or less and have you find the home of your dreams in 10 houses or less.
Could you do that, Matt? I'm running a list in my mind right now. I think I got like 6, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, and I can do it, probably.
He's too young, Carrie. I think he's too young.
You couldn't find a house in 10 houses?
Oh, in 10 houses?
Yeah. Like if I showed you my goal, if I told you, hey, Matt, my goal is to show you 10 houses and have you pick one that you love.
Yeah. No, I could do that.
By specifying certain things
You would
that
have to,
you need in
That's
that
how
house.
but how I do it is I keep specifying things. We go to see 3 houses. I won't show people more than 3 or 4 houses at a time. I'll have someone send me a list of 20 houses. I'm like, okay, what houses do you really want to see? Because number one, all these 20 aren't available. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I mean.
So I can send you 4. But if I show you 4 houses, if I show you more than 4 houses, you're going to get confused. You're not going to remember things, and it's just not going to be as efficient. And when we walk through those houses, I want you to tell me what you like and what you don't like.
Well, I mean, also it's going to come down to what's most important to you.
Right.
Your family, location. How important is it to you to be in proximity of things?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you work? You don't want a 50-minute commute.
Right.
Do you want land? Or the privacy thing, right?
Right. This is one of the examples that I explain to my agents that I find so interesting is I have someone coming in from out of the area, let's say, and they have a friend that lives in the area already. And the friend says to them, oh, you want such and such a school district. That happens all the time. So this person, they're brand new, they have kids, they're moving to the area. They come in and say to me, I don't want to look at anything that's not in such and such a school district. And I say, okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Because as a real estate agent, ethically, I am supposed to be encouraging them to purchase in really any area. So it all has to do with, the neighboring houses and the neighbors and, that kind of thing as far as people deciding on what kind of life they want to live. But it's not my job to tell them, I'm not supposed to be at all telling them who lives in certain houses and neighborhoods, what color their skin are, what their ethnicity, nothing. I mean, it's about the house itself. And if people are concerned about the district, what I'll say to them is, what do your kids do? What do they like to do? Do your kids like to play instruments? I mean, for example, I had a family that came, they wanted a particular school district, and I said, wait a minute. What do your kids do? So the mom says, oh, well, my son, Johnny, he plays the oboe for, I said, oh, interesting. I said, well, I have a friend and her son is in the symphony at Union Endicott. She's like, really? I said, yeah, I can tell you that they have one of the best symphonies around. And if your son's really serious about music, maybe you need to consider Union Endicott School District because it's geared to him. Don't think that people really, they believe when people tell them, oh, you want to be in this school district. Okay, well, it doesn't mean that school district is going to be a good fit.
Right. Yeah, just because they have high test scores
Right.
doesn't mean the quality of education or the teachers are any less.
Right.
You got to realize the teacher leads the kids to water and the kids have to drink.
Right. My kids went to a school that many people ask for when they moved to this area, and we moved out of the district because I couldn't stand it because my daughter had some learning issues, and the district that we were in would not issue her any kind of special help because they didn't want anyone to know that they had someone in the district. They kind of played down those numbers. They were concerned about academics and they were concerned about sports. And that's what they were concerned about.
Yeah, I have my in-laws went to Newark Valley, and a lot of people give Newark Valley School District crap for whatever reason. Well, testing scores are kind of low, but don't shoot the messenger. But I'm going to now turn this positive, and I would challenge anybody that, look, it's not necessarily the district. It's your kids too.
Right. Absolutely.
Because my wife went to Newark Valley. She's now a teacher. Her older brother works for a district attorney in Albany. Mm-hmm. Her sister works for district attorney as well.
Right.
Her brother's a PA. So you guys tell me.
Right.
Was it, out of 6 kids, you're bound to have one bad egg. They're 6 for 6. So
right.
I don't know.
We have family that go to Newark Valley.
Yeah.
And I love Newark Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, we moved to the Owego School District actually because that's where I went to school in Owego. And I thought, well, there's a lot of teachers there that I know. I knew that they had a lot of great programs, and my kids thrived at Owego.
Right.
And so I had grown up there, and I wanted an environment where I knew that I knew a lot of the teachers, and I knew a lot of the staff, and it was easy for me to say, hey, you keep an eye on my kid, because a lot of times it is who they're hanging out with.
Sure.
Obviously you have these larger school systems in the area, and there are bad eggs. Mm-hmm. There are bad eggs everywhere.
Yeah.
There's good and bad to every single school district in our area.
There's good teachers, there's bad teachers.
Right.
There
is 100% good and bad. And people say, oh, I heard so-and-so has there's a bunch of druggies at the school. Well, no, not really. I mean, our area has its share of drug use just like any other area in the nation. There's no good or bad school as far as drugs go. There really isn't. It's like, you better be active with your children, and you better be teaching them what they need to know, and you better be paying attention to who they're hanging out with.
Absolutely.
And be active in their lives. And if you are an active parent and you're involving them in stuff in the school and activities, and you're doing your best as far as being a part of your child's life, you really don't have anything to worry about.
Right.
They could go anywhere.
Yeah.
They could go to a third world country and go to school, and they'll end up in college because you're being active in their life and in their education.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the small community aspect because I like that my kids are going to pretty much know everybody in their class, and it's tighter that way. Mm-hmm. I like to be a contributing member to the community, where that's harder to do in some of the larger schools. But the larger schools also have a lot more to offer as far as programs go, right? Like Binghamton's got a ton to offer. Union Endicott's got a ton to offer. Vestal, they all have a lot to offer their students as far as programs go.
They do.
There's trade-offs.
Right, there is trade-offs.
It all comes down to what's most important to you, right?
Right, but don't you feel like now, I mean, granted, my kids they're out. I mean, my son just graduated college last year, and my daughter is going to be 30 years old. I can't believe it. But I can tell you that in this age, if I had kids that were like just starting off high school, I feel like even in a small world environment, the internet has completely and totally opened up this whole new world of opportunity to kids that maybe are from a small community. There's all sorts of classes and things that you can take online in groups, and I can only imagine the kind of opportunities that are available out there now for kids that take advantage of it. Let's just say that.
Yeah. There's tons of opportunities to learn. You can, research anything that you want to. You can learn, self-teach yourself anything.
Right.
You don't necessarily need a teacher to hold your hand.
Right. Like take sports, for instance. My son was in little lacrosse, and he's, of course, this is a smaller school. And some of the larger schools, they would have scouts go to or whatnot, and he would say to me, oh, I don't know. And, I just don't have the opportunity. Well, not really, because now in this age of the internet and YouTube and all the things, I said, we can hire somebody that'll do a highlight reel for you of all the hits and everything that you do all season. They can be there filming and edit, and we could crank it out there to a school and impress somebody. It's basically like a commercial. So people can do that on their own now. You don't need anybody to be your advocate. You can be your own advocate.
Well, it's good to be the voice of reason and truth and wisdom, right? Because people only know what they know. So when your clients are coming to you saying, I want to be in this particular school district, and yet some things based on your experience in real estate, you get to shed light on something maybe they just don't know.
Right. I try to focus on what their family likes. I say, what do you do? What kind of activities do you do? What do your kids like to do? What do they excel at? And I try to give them resources so that they can research themselves, because you're supposed to have people research themselves. So I will give them different resources and say, here's some different school districts, or here's a website that you can get on and you can just look around a little bit and see what these schools have to offer and if they are a better fit for your child, because there's no bad school district in our area. There isn't. I mean, people think, they're like, oh, I don't want, they're horrible. There's drugs and whatever. Okay, there's drugs everywhere. So let's just get that out right out in the open. It's who your kids hang out with. And all the teachers, I think, in our area are very good. It's not what it is in other areas. I guess I can't explain that. I had families that I've known that have moved all kinds of other areas in the country, and they call me and say, how you were like you were saying all the school districts are really good. It's not like that here. There are some legit bad school districts where the students are like, okay, or their teachers say, okay, get out your phone. We're going to look up this, that, and the other. And they basically are on their phone the whole class, and they don't even learn anything. So it is out there. But I do think this area is Broome County and Tioga County, they run a real tight ship with their curriculum and their teachers. And I got to give our area credit as far as the school systems go. Really. There's only one or two private schools. There's a couple. There's Ross Corners. There's there are a couple of Christian schools. There's one in Route 12. I forget the name of it. I don't know. And then there's Seton. And so you have basically 3 or 4 private schools. I think that says a lot. And the parents that could be sending their kids to the private schools are sending their kids to the public schools. I think that says a lot about our public school systems. I really do.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good to it. And then, some critiques also, but mostly good, kids get to go to a nice building. Like, you hear some out-of-state people, like my cousins in Tennessee, they go to private school because some of the school district buildings are like really run down and like just not like no air conditioning and stuff like in Tennessee.
Right.
So yeah, not a lot of funding goes to the school systems in other states, and you kind of get what you pay for.
Exactly. So I think that says a lot about our area, that parents that are very affluent, people that are coming here from other countries that have, these, high-paying doctors, lawyers, they're sending their kids to public school.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of private.
Yeah. Do I have, some critiques for some of the school system? Yeah, I do. But mostly they're getting a quality education where you don't in some other states.
Right. Agreed.
So we do have a fun question, but
Oh,
I want to
good.
say this interview has been very informative, and we're super proud of everything that you're doing, and we're
Thank you.
super excited to have had you be part of our Desire to Inspire in the past. And is there anything outside of giving us your contact stuff, which I would like you to share, but is there anything that you would like to touch on that we haven't touched on today?
Well, that's a great question. I wanted to just, I guess, Desire to Inspire was great because it was inspiring women. But I will say, as a collective audience of men and women, I will tell you that you don't need to be the smartest person in the room to run your business, but you need to always show up, and you need to be very self-motivated, and you need to be willing to learn. And if you're those things, then you can be a successful business owner.
Awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
And
Gave me chills.
Ooh,
Because I'm definitely not the smartest person in the room.
me neither.
Oh, I doubt that.
So our fun random question
Okay.
is: what is one habit or ritual that you have and people would never guess that it actually keeps you grounded?
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's a great question.
I mean, you did mention something before we started this podcast as something that you're doing, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it keeps you grounded, but
well, I do have, oh my gosh, I wasn't prepared for this question.
is it too deep? It's not too fun. It's
Well,
more deep.
I know. I know what I want to say, but.
Habit or a hobby?
This is a free place for you to
Yeah.
share whatever you want.
Okay. So what?
Habit or ritual, you know. Or just something that keeps you grounded.
Mine's exercise.
I guess I would have to say that my husband keeps me grounded. And at night, he's always there. He didn't used to always be there. He worked a lot of odd shifts because he was in law enforcement. So he wasn't always around at night. So the fact that he's there at night, I was saying to Matt when you were out, that he's constantly saying, "Are you still working? Are you still working? Are you still working?" He really makes me stop working at some point in the night so I can just rest my brain and interact, because it's great to want to love your business and to want it to succeed. But real estate, I'm sure many other careers are like this too. It's like the blob underneath the door where it starts coming in, and you just, before you know it, it's in the room, and you can't, there's just not a lot of control over it sometimes, because I could just work and work and work and work and work and work. And he is great because as the co-owner, he says to me, "Okay, that's it. You're done. Shut it down for the night. You're done." And I think if I didn't have someone like him in my life, that I would just be, I don't know, I'd be like a coffee drinking
Up all night.
psycho lunatic. I'd be like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't really do, it's really sad to say probably that I don't actually, I'm so self-motivated when it comes to my brokerage, not as self-motivated when it comes to taking care of myself. If I had to say that I have one negative quality, it's that I don't pay as much attention to myself as I do everybody else.
It's nice that your husband does that for you, because if you don't take care of thyself, how
I have
can
nothing
thyself
left.
take care of a brokerage, right?
That's right.
Like,
I have nothing left in my cup. Nothing left in the cup to pour out. And he recognizes that. He'll see that I'm getting too intense and it's too late at night, and he'll say, "Nope, shut it down. You're done."
Yeah, you got to rest.
So thank goodness that
Gotta
he's
get
in my
your-
life, because he's my grounding.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So if anybody wanted to reach out to you, how would you like them to contact you?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. They could text me. They can call me. My number is 607-343-1035. My email is Carrie's Kingdom 1. So it's CARRIE, S as in Sam, Kingdom, KINGOMDOM, and number 1 @gmail.com. So a couple different ways.
Awesome. And then, of course, you have your website, right, that I saw?
Yes, we have our website. It's www.nhkings.com. So it's, that we do have that website as well. But the more direct line to contact me is either emailing me directly or texting me. So
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today.
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.